Do you ever see a day where Jerry Jones, the owner, would tell Jerry Jones, the GM, to step back? Huge topic of conversation right now is the Micah Parsons trade. Why now?
Well, this is always the time to, in my mind, to trade a player for draft picks.
You said in the docuseries that you've never shied away from going against the grain. You've never been scared to make the controversial decision. Would you include this in some of those controversial decisions you've made?
Well, I think so.
What do you hope your legacy will be?
I hope right there at that top they said he was a good daddy.
Is that the most important thing?
Well, it's one of them.
One can't think of the Dallas Cowboys without thinking of their enigmatic owner, Jerry Jones. Jones has never shied away from controversy, so I traveled to Cowboy country to sit down with the man behind America's team on its storied history, his private cancer battle, yes, that Micah Parsons trade, and much more.
Hi, Rihanna.
Hi. Hello.
I'm Tad.
Hi, Tad.
And
Nice
you
to
know
meet
who
you.
this is.
I do. He needs no introduction.
My goodness, she's got
Hello.
that beautiful cowboy blue and
Just for you.
beautiful as well.
Thank you.
Well.
We match perfectly. I had a feeling you'd be in blue.
Well,
When it comes to America's team, he's the commander-in-chief.
Jerry Jones, he's built a dynasty.
This morning, Jerry Jones, the legendary owner, president, and general manager of the Dallas Cowboys, is getting personal, and just weeks after revealing he beat stage 4 skin cancer.
12 or so years ago, I had some cancer treatment. My doctors there at MD Anderson said, you need to do a lot of meditation.
The revelation, featured in the new Netflix docuseries, America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys.
This is a soap opera 365 days a year.
Ready? Okay. Well, we're going to talk about your health more in depth, about your treatment and everything a little bit later, but I just want to start by asking how you're feeling today.
well, I feel wonderful. I'm excited. Boy, we've got a game coming up. This is what I play for, is the season and getting to compete. And of course, we're starting off with the world champs. What a way to go.
The news of his diagnosis, only one set of downs in the 82-year-old's Hall of Fame career. Jerry Jones didn't get to the top by pleasing everyone. The unapologetic executive recently stirred up more controversy with the trade of star rusher Micah Parsons after contentious contract negotiations. And let's talk, because there's a huge topic of conversation right now, is the Micah Parsons trade. Cowboys fans have a lot of feelings about it. The world has a lot of feelings about it. And a lot of people want to know, why now? Do you feel like this is going to be a turning point in getting the Cowboys back to the championship?
Well, this is always the time to, in my mind, to trade a player for draft picks. You don't wait until right before the draft. That's when those draft picks are the highest premium. But this was simply numbers. We take 53 people, and we'll be active with that many people. That's how many people it really takes to put the game on. One player in Micah was worth possibly as many as 5 or 6 players. We have two kinds of capital or currency in the NFL. One of them is draft picks. The other is the financial, because every team is limited to the same amount of resources to spend. And having said that, Micah enabled us to have 4, possibly as many as 6 players for the future. That's a good trade when you need numbers. Some sport, for instance, tennis just needs 1 player on your team. Boxing needs 1 player. Basketball, you need certainly 5 players out there, but 53, I'll take the numbers every time.
You said in the docuseries that you've never shied away from going against the grain. You've never been scared to make the controversial decision. Would you include this in some of those controversial decisions you've made?
Well, I think so. Obviously, there's differences of opinion about whether or not you let a great player like Micah leave as opposed to the numbers. But yes, I do. I think anything that I can ever remember that had a big payoff, that had big results, the ambiguity that is involved, that normally you're getting criticized for, is the not knowing how it's going to turn out. That's where the big bucks are, so to speak, if you want to use financial. But the, if you will, the ambiguity, 1 and 1 is not 2. 1 and 1 is 3. And as a matter of fact, the difference in 1 and 1, 2, and 1 and 1 being 3 is the ambiguous area where most of the payday is, not the first two. So I do think like that.
Let's talk more about the docuseries. What was it like reliving some of these biggest moments of your life?
Well, my dream had always been to be a part of football other than a player. I had played in college, but I knew that wasn't going to be for me. So I really wanted to get up in the morning and go to bed at night involved in the game, football. And so while my parents, especially my father, were really critical and said, "Jerry, when are you going to get this football out of your neck?" He said, "It's time for you to go on with real life and really pursue your plans in a normal way rather than have this football thing in the back of your mind." Well, I just couldn't get it out of my mind, and so I wanted to be involved in some way. Consequently, I did really risky things. I did inordinate things to try to get in position to somehow be a part of the NFL, if you will, or back then the AFL. Back when I was in my late teens, I used to go to where the AFL, Lamar Hunt, and the organizers of the AFL, they would meet in a hotel in Houston, and I would sneak off from my job and go down to Houston and just sit around the lobby when I was about 23, 24, and just wait on them to break from their meetings and go over and introduce myself. I guess somehow I thought some way it was going to rub off on me. But I just couldn't get it out of my mind, the fact that football was evolving. I could see that. I had gotten excited by being in a grand experience when I was in college, and I just wanted it to be my life, really.
What would your dad say now?
Oh, he's proud. There's no question about it, and he had such a flair. He was controversial in his business thinking, and for the day, he was very promotional. He would like that very much. And he'd really like the way that we've melded in the love for the game, football, with what has actually happened, and that is it's been made bigger than life. And that's what we get to do in the NFL. That's what great commentators and people of journalism like yourself get to do, and it's built for it. It's boring to just watch a couple of 300-pounders butt head. You got to put a little color to it, a little pizzazz to it, and that's what we do in the NFL to some degree.
You're a huge part of why the NFL has gotten as big as it's gotten, and along the way, there were certainly your critics. Looking back on your entire career, were there any moments you would change, anything you would do differently?
Well, you know, I've always had I call it a very high tolerance for ambiguity. I really don't need to know if the paycheck is coming in next Friday. I can live with the fact that you may not know if it's going to be there or not, but I can still perform. A lot of people have to know for sure, and then they can really do great things. But they have to know there's some stability at the end. I think I'm just the opposite. It's kind of like the riverboat gambler. You know, on the next card on the old riverboat stories, the next card that gambler saw might get him thrown overboard, or he could own the boat on the very next card turned over. Now, I promise you this, he knew how to swim because he'd gotten thrown off that boat several times.
You mentioned in the docuseries that if you were to write a number for how much you would pay to get the Cowboys back to another Super Bowl, that you'd be embarrassed to show it. How important is it to you to see the Cowboys win another Super Bowl in your lifetime? Well,
I will answer that by going back to how and why I came in. I had a tough time of it early in my career financially. Then I got some breath.
You were in $50 million debt at one point.
Exactly, and I just can't tell you how much that was, especially from the vantage point I had, which was at the bottom. And so my point is that it was daunting, but yet I not only got past that, the minute that I got my hands on something, along came the devil called the Dallas Cowboys, and I became involved with the Cowboys. That feeling is there in me as we sit here today. I have the very same feeling. I wouldn't hesitate in a minute to have, if you could add it up and have a decision to make, I would be embarrassed the size of the decision if it were referenced in terms of money that I would make to win a Super Bowl.
Do you think this team can do it?
I do, very much. Made that decision last year when we agreed to make Dak Prescott the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. And everything that we had done prior to that, relative to the makeup of the roster, the players we want, the players we want to have over the next few years, all of that was oriented around a plan to keep Dak Prescott and keep him in the Dallas Cowboy fold over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. But in order to do that, he's got to have some players around him, not one. He's got to have several players around him. And therein lies the complete decision on trading Micah Parsons. We can't live with just one around Dak. We have to have many, and that allowed us to do it.
Do you ever see a day where Jerry Jones, the owner, would tell Jerry Jones, the GM, to step back?
Well, first of all, they talk. They really don't talk. I'm not going to go there at all. But what you really do have is a real keen desire to win, and certainly to get to win at this level in the National Football League. And maybe what you just saw with the Micah Parsons trade, maybe what you see when we do some of the promotions, such as that documentary. Yeah, I want to keep it relevant. I do want to keep it interesting. And I know that you don't have relevancy, you don't have interesting, unless it's got some controversy with it. And when it gets slow around here, I can stir it up.
You certainly can stir it up. Were there any moments of the docuseries that were hard for you to watch or hard for you to relive?
Yeah. My memory, and maybe all of our memories, maybe the guy upstairs lets us remember the best parts of some of the emotional, or if you will, trying times. By going back and actually looking at many of the incidences, drilling down on them, it was very emotional to me. And I literally, at times, when we would discuss them during that time, I would tear up, really. And I would ask, let's say, a medical person, why am I doing that? I'll do that if I'm making a speech, or I'll touch those areas. And they say, well, you had a traumatic time during that time. And that's what you're experiencing again. That series did that for me.
Wow, it was incredible to watch. And let's talk about your cancer journey. What made now the time to tell everyone what you'd been going through privately for so many years?
Well, again, the effort to make the docuseries had us retracing a lot of our years and my steps. And a part of that steps was a very significant effort to have treatments in several places here in the country with some great doctors. Dr. Son of Little Rock, Arkansas, Dr. Hu of Tampa, Florida, MD Anderson. Those individuals really gave me hope and encouragement and caused me to do some really unorthodox things for the time.
Yeah, let's talk about, you did the PD-1 trials that you actually credit with saving your life. Tell us about that.
Well, Dr. Hu of MD Anderson, who's now in Tampa, basically said, we would advise you to try to get in this trial. It was experimental, but it was very strong too. The nature of it caused you to have a lot of stress and really impact on your joints and your hips or your shoulders. But there were other things that they didn't know would have consequences from that treatment. On the other hand, they thought that it could have some extraordinary results. I had stage 4 melanoma, and you need some treatment if you're going to get it when you're at stage 4. And it was amazing. And over the years, I would go down 2 or 3 times every month and have those trial treatments. And I would go to both Houston and go over to Tampa to have those treatments about 3 or 4 times a month, but over and over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, I would be tested for melanoma, and I'd be clear.
What was that moment
then
like?
a little would come back. No, a little would come back.
A little would come back.
And there were several surgeries involved. But I think after 5 years, they call it, you ring the 5-year bell, then they say that you're clear. Well, I've had those 5-year bells. I've had them a couple of times, really. But the main thing is cancer is so potentially treatable today, more so than anything like it could have been 15 years ago. As a matter of fact, Dr. Who told me that someday we may treat melanoma with a pill, like measles or something like that. And so dramatic progress is made during those years, and I've been a benefactor of it. And of course, you look around and you see so many of us on a daily basis, young people, older people, that are all fighting it hard. And fighting it with not the right kind of tools a lot of times, but still fighting it. And so I don't have to look very far to get a good feeling about my little problem. And so football, the NFL, the ones that don't like the Cowboys, they're therapy to me. Really, yes, very much. And as well as the fans of the Dallas Cowboys. All of that is therapy. All of that is life. That is life. And you bet that in the background made you not pay so much attention to some of this criticism you get sometimes. As a matter of fact, it just made you want to go that much more and say, you know, I don't have time to have a bad time. It's not on my schedule.
Does the criticism fire you up even more? Well,
I think showing, of course, I think challenging, always has. I have had wonderful upbringing, great motivational parents. My mom was the original working mom, and she would have somebody keep me and my sister while she was doing the work that she did during the day and part of the night. And all of that was wonderful. We joined in with my parents in their work. And so I literally grew up with the store down below and hearing people laugh and cash registers happening and people buying produce and fruit. And that was a way of life. And it fits real good with the kind of action that goes on around the NFL, frankly.
Well, and going through cancer treatment is one of the hardest things anyone can do, let alone doing that while owning a team, running the team. Was there ever a moment where you thought maybe this is too much, maybe I need to step back?
No, not at all. Really, it was motivational. And it basically gave strength. And again, I can look no further than the players on the field out here. These guys play hurt. They play hurt all the time, and they play with torn muscles, and they play with sprains, and they line up out there every day and go. And there's no question that being around that atmosphere makes you realize that it's really okay if you don't feel all right. It's okay if you don't quite have it added up and fitting today. Step out there and realize, just look around the world, which we can't every day, so many that are living with so much worse. And so it's has been motivational, but also I was proud to be able to do things and kind of be a part of a trial that developed that PD-1. I was really proud of that.
To hear after 10 years that you were tumor-free, what was that moment like?
Well, it was actually not much different than the one the day before, frankly. I was going to go the same way and do the same things the next week and the next week as I was before that. It made me, though, really appreciate the men and women who are not only in medicine but also are in service that could make that possible for so many. And of course today it's available for thousands and thousands of people, and have of course had meaningful impact on their lives. But I guess the point is, I realized, I guess I'll go all the way back, if I can use an analogy, when I got a chance to be a part of a championship team in college. I realized that it wasn't just the newspaper that you read about getting the people that got to be champions or got to be movie stars or all of that. I realized it actually could happen to you. And I knew then that I could do something like the Dallas Cowboys. I knew it could happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen, and there was a lot of slips on the way, but I knew it could happen to you. And to me, that's the message of to anyone is, we all have our goals, we all have our lives. It can happen to you, though, that shot out of the dark, that you have cancer no more.
The Cowboys is very much a family affair. What has it meant to you to grow this with your family right there every step of the way? Your kids obviously work for the organization. What has that meant to you? From the very beginning that I had children, I knew I wanted to just hang out with them. Not to the extent that I didn't have duties to provide for them, but basically hang out and be a part of their lives. There's no doubt in my mind that family is going to be there with you at the end. There's no doubt in my mind. But to get to have and be a part of family during the evolution of your own life, as they become young adults, and then, my goodness, what if you could actually be in business or be in the professions with them? Oh yeah, it's hard. There's a father's prayer. I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. It says, Lord, don't let me be a bully, because I can be, because they love me and will let me be a bully to your own kids. And so that'll teach you some grace in working with your kids. And by the way, deference, you've never seen anything like the kind of deference they've had with me and our efforts over the years to be involved. So it's been one of those give and take. Mm-hmm. It's been the best part of all of it to have done this with my family. Do you ever let them have their way? Do they ever say, Dad, this is not the right move? Charlotte, my one daughter, I don't know there's ever been a time when I didn't have deference to her, but I'm glad she's smart. She a daddy's girl? But certainly, yes. But more importantly than anything, those three children, and I'm including Jean, my wife, mm-hmm. They really have made this happen. They were very important in the nuances of the team, the building of the team, the building of the stadium. These ideas that I get a lot of really recognition for, more often than not, were theirs. And they executed them along the way. And so certainly when they were younger, then you had a little experience on them. But as time has moved along and things have evolved, that's not the case anymore. And so they really are as much a part of what we're talking about, the life in football and sport, and the challenges and the euphoria that goes with it. There's much part of that as me. What do you hope your legacy will be? Oh, I hope right there at that top they said he was a good daddy. Is that the most important thing? Well, it's one of them. Yeah. What do you hope the legacy of the Cowboys is? Well, the legacy of the Cowboys are really beyond my legacy. The Cowboys, when I came to Texas, were very much a part of the culture because of the times when President Kennedy got here, assassinated here in Dallas. And so they had evolved into a respite, if you will, to try to move away from some of that perception or that reality. Well, then they had some hard times. Guess what? It happens to everything and everybody. So they had some hard times.
while it was not the most opportune time for me, it was the only time that I could have ever gotten involved. Or many people, just in the state of Texas alone, Donald Trump, people like that that had funds at that particular time could have had the Cowboys. I got to be involved because there was no money around. And so I was the only idiot that would step up, and I didn't have enough. I did it with mirrors and smoke and a little finesse around, and I was able to get in the door when normally you couldn't have had it not been those hard times. And once I got in that door, I really wanted to run with that ball, boy.
Could you have ever dreamed that you would build the most successful sports franchise, not in the country, in the entire world?
Well, I know this, that sports was not a viable, take care of itself practice. Nobody had enough money to actually go back and try it again. You had to contribute like charity. You had to contribute like donating to the Arts Center. It was donations, and it was basically financed through wealthy people that had the excitement of competition in their blood, and after they had done well, they got into sports. I couldn't go that route. When I got in, the team was losing $1 million a month. And I had to somehow figure out a way to bring dollars through the door. I didn't have enough to pay but for about half of the team when I got involved. And so it had to start having some revenues to help it work. Therein lies the motivation. And so again, the old adage, there's nothing wrong with hurdles, there's nothing wrong with challenges, especially if they can help you do something that was unthinkable to do. And so that's what motivated me. And that's why when I looked at the NFL, I could really see I'm the number one salesman of the NFL. And I love the game, and I can see where it's many aspects of it are just bigger than life and can be shown, and our fans can get to be a part of that beyond when just we score a touchdown. The Cowboys were the first team to ever have a camera in the draft room. Those sensitive times when young men are discussed, and boy, those are some sensitive things that are said in there. How do we get through that type of thing but make it more appealing to millions of fans? And of course, I had spent my young life around it, and I knew all the pluses. Maybe I had some of them there that most people didn't. But I wanted that to be a part of what people thought of when they thought of NFL football.
Fans are fans from the day they're born. They're Cowboys fans through and through. What do you hope Cowboys fans say about Jerry Jones?
Well, you know, really a long time ago, maybe from the day I walked through the door, I got a taste of what might be said about Jerry Jones.
Hasn't all been good along the way.
From the time that we made the changes early with Coach Landry, as we evolved through, we changed our Super Bowl winning coach out. So I knew there was always not motivated by people saying nice things. What I do want to do, though, is to make it substantive. I want to make it meaningful. I want to be a respite for millions and millions in this country that have some issues far greater than anything happening on a football team. But the Cowboys can be, the NFL can be, a great respite for them to think about that for a time being and get their mind off and slap old Jerry a little bit on the way around a little bit. And I'm used to that. I was used to that before I ever bought the Cowboys. And so the main thing is that I'd like to be sure and point out is how much fun this has been for me ever since I first got involved with the Cowboys. And it's been motivational. I might have thought that I did a little something when I bought the Cowboys. But I would have had no idea that the air beneath your wings, that all of a sudden you'd try something and this works, let's try it some more. The Cowboys, whatever I was, put wind beneath my wings and made me something in a way that I would never have dared tried or think about. And this little sparrow went up there flying around with the eagles. Cowboys did that.
What would you say to that little boy who grew up and just only dreamed about football?
Oh, I would say, I used to, I'm embarrassed to tell you, when I would go home from college, I might get out in my backyard and take a ping pong ball and a broomstick, and I could play an entire World Series by myself. And I could hit those home runs, I could have those strikeouts, I could run those bases, I could hear that crowd, and there wasn't anybody out in the yard but me, and I was embarrassingly old. I was in college when that was happening. So I can live there, I can live in these dreams, I really can. And it's really amazing, though, that when you start dreaming it a little bit and start picturing yourself there, all of a sudden, better watch out. You could be stepping where you were dreaming there earlier.
What keeps you up at night? Anything?
Oh, I of course, have such a full time of it that my work, so to speak, or what you want to call what I do with the Cowboys and my other things, don't seem like there's time for sleep. And the busiest that I have ever been was last week and the week before in my entire life. And I'm 82 years old, and I'm so much busier than when I was 65. I'm so much busier than when I was 55. I told somebody, I went to their birthday party, and they were about 62 years old. And I said, all I want to say to you is if by chance in any way at 62, if you could come in and have 1/10 the experiences and the fun I've had since I was 62, you're in for a hell of a ride. And that's exactly what happened, and that's the way I feel. And there's no question that these early years of the 80s have had more excitement and more rare air than probably at any time I've been involved.
What's been keeping you so busy the last 2 weeks?
Oh, I think getting ready for this season. I certainly know that our formalizing our squad, that is very important to my time schedule. And then I keep quite a schedule relative to outside football. And I'm involved in several businesses outside the game. And again, I get to spend a lot of time with family. I'm a busy boy.
I hope I'm that busy at 82. Thank you so much.